go, we need to know of all the rules. Regulation before we go, we need to read of all the heroes. Inspiration before we go, we need to know of all the risks. And danger before we go, we need a degree in geology. And biology before we go, we need to review a thing or two or three. Now it may very well be true that we are the lucky few, but there's just a few things we must do before we go. Before we go. Before we go, we need to meet the rest of the team and get acquainted. Before we go, we need to know the acronyms, abbreviation. Before we go, we need to fit in all the clothes. Insulation before we go, we need to buy some polypros. Oh, merino before we go, we need to know to flare the stove. Pyromania. Now it may very well be so that we think we run this show, but we don't know what we don't know before we go. Before we go. Before we go. Before we go.